Hello and welcome to the back nine coverage of round 3 of the Tour de Richmond, presented by MVP Disc Sports and Good Sports Discs. My name's Tim Eck.
My name's Graham Jennings. Let's have a check-in with our leaderboard before we begin to see how folks are faring here. We've got Jay Keagy and Matt Graves tied up at the top, two of our local guys trying to take it down for the Tour de Richmond. Ben and Kyle are still on lead card. They're about 5 back. Let's see if they can make up some strokes in the back 9. As we head into hole 10 is a 345-foot uphill par 3. You've got quite a few ways you can play this here. You can go wide right around this white tree. You can go straight up the gut, or you can go out to the left with a big power forehand. Any way you chop it up, though, it plays definitely a lot further than 345. You're looking for about 390 worth of power here.
Jay's going to lead it off with his Star Wraith. Gets it out pretty far to the right, but it fades on back, and he'll have a long putt to hole 10's basket.
Short circle, too, for sure. Nice drive from Jay. Lengel going to show us that forehand line with an ESP Zeus. Gets some nice turn on it, but it's not going to be enough, and he's going to find himself in the holly bush on the right-hand tree with a fortunate rollout to probably a long circle 2 look.
Matt Graves is up here. He is using his TL3.
He's going to be
on
going
this
up the
disc
gut.
very heavily. It's a great laser straight disc for him. It's got a little bit of turn on it, but it is fighting its way back. And he's got a long putt, a lot like Jay.
Halo Destroyer counter for Kyle Lewis continues to grow.
I think we're up to 7 now, so
Indeed we are.
he uses a lot of it. He swings this out wide, gets a nice little skip back in.
Inside of circle 1. Nice drive. The furthest out has been Lengel.
Takes a little stepper. He's a little low, but gives him a nice, easy tap in for the par.
As we mentioned in round 3, front 9, there are a few pieces of down debris that we didn't quite get to. That was due to a pretty aggressive storm that blew in between day 1 and 2 of the tournament. But a special shout out to all our volunteers who helped spread mulch, install the new baskets, and help this course look better than ever. Keagy for birdie from circle 2.
Laser low, and Jay converts. Great putt.
Trying to make a statement and break away from Matt Graves. Let's see it one more time. Confident stepper in the heart of the chains. Jay Keagy confidently walks it in.
Kyle to see if he can match Jay's putt. Just left. He was chain high, but didn't catch anything, unfortunately.
Thankful for that tree as he taps in the par.
Graves taps in his par.
You can see it on his face. You know he needed that one.
He at least wanted it. Still got a few rounds to play, or the rest of the round to play, and 9 more holes after that to make it up.
Tim doing double duty, serving on commentary and also appearing in the back of that shot. As we move on to hole 11, a par 4 of 762 feet. It's kind of known, it's a local legend, that if you can cross that creek there we just flew over, that you have a big arm. That is the definition. And then you'll have an uphill approach to this green with a few thick, mature guardian trees. There's also a layup option short of the creek, just over this tree in the middle of the fairway. Jay's drive leaks early and catches some foliage, but he still gets some good turn out of it and crosses well over the creek That's going to be pushing 500 feet off the tee. Great drive from Jay.
It's so wild to see people throw that far across this hole.
While hitting foliage.
Ben hits the same foliage.
And
And
unfortunately, it foils his shot.
Yeah.
And Lengel will have an obstructed approach to get across the creek for a second.
I guess foliage was a more appropriate word for that one. Matt is just going out wide. Is he pushing the whole way across?
I think he could have been, but unfortunately he comes up just a hair short, and we're going to have to figure out where that landed.
Kyle throwing a low laser beam with that destroyer.
Destroyer number 8. A little bit of discussion here was had. Tim, why don't you fill us in on what happened to Kyle's drive?
So Kyle's drive landed on the bridge, and there wasn't a definitive description of OB. So he's playing a provisional here. So we'll see quite a few more throws from Kyle than the other competitors. But we had to kind of talk to the card after the round to clarify, where did he land on the bridge, because we did have flags marking exactly where OB was. Unfortunately, the card had determined he landed in between the flags over the OB, and so he was OB on the bridge. That means next year I will just have to make sure that our course notes do say, hey, the bridge is going to be OB if you land on it.
And that's a great bridge into continuing our shots here. Gravy finds himself inbounds on the OB's edge, so he's left with an obstructed high turnover forehand to get to the green. Don't think he's going to make it with that angle, so he's probably looking at an approach for par. After Lengel's second, he bit off a good bit of distance here, and he's going to be looking to throw a forehand onto the high side of the green and have it skip up for an easy par save.
And that's a great approach by Ben. A little bit of roll at the end, but it shouldn't take him too far away from keeping that being a circle one putt. Here's Jay's second.
What a monster drive, getting up on the slope. And he'll have a pretty routine chip shot up to the green, but he leaves it a little bit high. So he's looking at circle one, but he's looking at that downhill all the way behind the basket. Let's see if he can keep his nerves in check. Gravy puts it close for a par. This is Kyle's correct shot. Leaves it a little wide, chain high. He'll have a close putt. Here's his provisional. A little bit closer, but that shot doesn't matter. Lengel to save par from circle's edge. Finds the wind.
Again, wind held that up just a little bit. It looked like it was going to drop right in and just never really dropped.
Been signaling the direction the disc went by putting his hands up in the air.
Jay coming back down at the basket for a birdie.
Oh, just leaks.
Catches the left side chains and just out over the edge of the basket.
Kyle with an unfortunate, unforced error from well inside circle one.
And you see him tap out his provisional as well.
Rough double bogey, but that's why hole 11 was the second hardest hole on the day, averaging 0.19 strokes over par.
Yeah. It's definitely one of our iconic holes for the course, but is very challenging if you don't have a lot of distance.
100%. And the wind was fluctuating today, which adds a little bit of technicality to that tee shot for sure.
That brings us to hole 12. This one is a downhill 293-foot par 3. Is also the location of Jay's unfortunate rollaway last year. Hopefully we'll get to see him throw just as pretty of a shot with a less unfortunate rollaway. He's leaning on his buzz for this shot. Brings it up a little high. It fades out a little early up the hill. He should have a putt down at it, but that is a very, very nervy putt because this hill falls away very quickly in that direction.
Tough for him to not have memories of last year from that lie.
For sure.
Gravy puts it wide with a super overstable Firebird.
Gets a good skip, and it settles.
Inside of circle 1.
Ben's also opting to go with the forehand. He's using a Raptor, so also an overstable fairway driver. Spikes it in. It spikes just above. Stands up like it wants to roll, but fortunately sits back down.
Inside of circle 1 for Lengel.
And Kyle leaning on a cap wrap. Comes up a little short. He gets a lot of ground play.
And he'll be inside circle 2 for birdie. Jay, not wanting anything to do with his infamy from last year, chooses to lay up, and I'd call that a wise decision.
Yeah, it's definitely a very tough one to take a run at, and with the tournament being as close as it is.
Sometimes it can feel like you have to, but good on him. Kyle, visibly frustrated. Unfortunately, the putting green is just not connecting for him today, but he should be inside of circle 1 for his par save.
Ben's also coming down the hill from a little behind the basket, and he airs it out just a little bit. He's staying pretty even. He wasn't putting like straight down the hill, but frustrating to miss all the same.
The hill definitely gets into people's minds, especially this late in the game. Gravy playing it smart, leaving it down the hill. Has an uphill putt and approach, and he'll convert. Lengel's good for the comebacker for par.
Kyle tapping in his par. Oh, catches chains, but doesn't convert, so I'll be coming back for bogey now.
Frustrating day for Kyle Lewis on the green. A little bit more conviction on that one, straight into the heart.
Jay settles in for an easy par. Ready to move on to the next.
Stress-free 3 for Jay on the second easiest hole of the day as we move into hole 13. Hole 13 is a 285-foot, slightly downhill par 3. There's a few ways you can chop this hole up. You can go straight down the gut like the drone is. You can throw a forehand from left to right, bringing that telephone pole into play on the left-hand side, as Gravy will show us here. It's a little overturned, and he'll come up just a hair short in the slightly longer grass. There are a few folks who will go out the right side for a high spike hyzer or a low skipping hyzer as well. That was Keagy's zone, which leaks early but gets a good skip through the guardian trees on the right-hand side, and will leave him with about a 40-foot putt. We can see Ben assessing the wind due to the fact that it's getting a little later in the day, and we're starting to have a little bit more swirling and unpredictable wind patterns, especially out here on this park-style course.
Yeah, hole 12 and 13 are two of the highest spots, highest areas on the course. So when the wind picks up, they are definitely the most common places to see, those swirly winds.
Absolutely. But Lengel navigates it well and finds himself on circle's edge for a birdie putt.
Kyle throwing out wide, gets his disc right down in circle one, hopefully for an easy putt.
Gravy with a long bid, just kissing off the cage, and he was feeling himself on that one. He wanted it. Speaking of people who probably want it, Keagy lines up the circle 2 putt. Off the band. Good bid, came in just a hair high, thankfully wasn't too punished. Lengel for birdie from inside circle 1.
And he converts.
Good putt by Ben. Good wind read by Ben off the tee especially.
And Kyle for his birdie putt.
Sadly unable to recover the putting woes on the day, Kyle Lewis trickles out to hopefully something not too hard. Just a casual drop into the basket there after the missed putt on circle 1. Hole 13 played as the 8th hardest hole on the day, averaging .31 strokes under par. Hole 14 is a 459-foot downhill par 3. This is a very, very demanding tee shot that has a low ceiling that comes into play for the righty backhand. Definitely going to see a lot of players with the forehand opt to use all that space out to the left and hopefully fade into circle 1 for a birdie.
Ben starting off with his Zeus. Doesn't get it quite as turned as you probably want it. He gets knocked down early. He should have a pretty routine upshot there, but definitely a challenge.
Matt Graves also going to the forehand with something pretty overstable here in the Halo Wraith.
He gets a very nice turn on this. It is going to fade a little early, but it'll give him at least a bid on it.
Yeah, the question is how he's going to navigate that low ceiling from that tree on the right-hand side.
Jay is opting to go with the much harder shot, which is to send a disc straight down in the backhand. You really can't let it turn over too much because of this line of trees here.
All in all, not a terrible result. Keagy's going to be looking at about a 70-foot bid at the basket. Halo Destroyer counter for Kyle Lewis. He put a good move on that thing, but I think he's inside of circle 2, probably looking at a 40-footer.
Yeah. I'm curious about how much the wind was affecting, kind of their calculus on throwing down the hill. It's when it gets windy up here, it's definitely much, much harder to trust the disc to drift out to the left and back right.
It definitely plays a factor, but I also find that from the elevated position on the tee, the wind that's down near the basket is often a lot different, and it shouldn't affect your shot as much as it does.
Oh,
Matt with another
very close
bid.
Yeah, just
Very
catches
close.
cage, doesn't quite make it in.
Second in a row for Gravy from circle 2, finding cage. Kyle to get his mojo back on hole 14.
Just a cage hit.
Good bid, but unable to find rhythm on the putting green. And Lengel, after the approach comes up a little bit short, is going to find the front of the cage and tap in for bogey.
Jay for his par.
Jay always sure to take his routine, even on the putts that feel routine. Always nice to see a player with a methodical approach on the putting green.
And Kyle and Matt are just tapping out their pars.
And as they tap out, hole 14 played as the hardest hole on the day, averaging .27 strokes over par.
Hole 15 is an uphill 279-foot shot. Players want to get enough elevation to get over this little pit on the left-hand side, and there is a depression in the right-hand side that some shots can fall into. Matt's opting to go with a forehand here, put it out to the left, let it skip up towards the basket. He ends up a little deep, but close enough to the basket that he is well inside the circle and has a very good birdie look.
Most players with serviceable forehands are definitely opting for that line, just hoping to put it up on that left-hand side and let it fade towards the basket. Keagy unfortunately pulls it a little left here and is in the rock pit. And a special thank you to all the volunteers who helped us weed whack what was pretty unmanageable in there just a month ago. Shout out to all the Richmond players and volunteers who have helped with all the amazing course maintenance that we've helped it done this year.
Yeah.
We're 3 for 3 on forehands after the last drive came up a little bit short and right. Lengel opting for an onyx off the tee.
Looks like he's got a pretty good angle on this. It's not fighting back quite as quick as he probably wanted it to, but he's got a long putt to look at it. So here's Jay from the rock pit that's in the center of the fairway. He just tosses it under the basket.
Birdie bash point for hitting the pole.
Kyle is in the depression I mentioned during the fly through. Gives it a great bid, but unfortunately just a touch high.
Laughing it off. It doesn't matter if it's from 40 or 4. He's going to find metal.
Yeah, that's a very difficult putt. I wouldn't give him any flack for missing that.
I might. Just joking.
Ben's long putt. Just barely misses.
Matt Graves with a confident stroke from circle's edge, able to convert the birdie on hole 15. As the rest of the players clean up, hole 15 was the easiest hole on the day, averaging .65 strokes. I'm sure any of our lead card players that didn't get the birdie are wishing they had for sure.
Yeah, 15 definitely feels like a must-get when you have a strong forehand.
100%. And the backhand line was cleaned up by some gracious volunteers as well. There is an inside line that followed the drone path that can be accessed as well. Definitely a more technical shot, but there are quite a few options to get to this green. As we head to hole 16, our first of 2 water carries on the day. Hole 16 is a 242-foot water carry, par 3. You can attack it a lot of different ways. I've seen thumbers, I've seen backhands, I've seen forehands, I've seen water skips. The one thing you don't want to do is land in the water and unfortunately take a bogey. So let's see how these guys chop it up.
Matt's just swinging out his A2 very wide, spiking it in.
Definitely the more common play for righty backhand dominant players to just go with that overstable approach disc and hyzer it into the green safely. Keagy's no different as he lines up his AVR3. Gets a nice flip out of it. Comes in just shy of the chains. He's going to be looking at a nice circle 1 tap-in birdie. Kyle showing the more aggressive line with a cap wrap. Swings it out wide, and it hums right towards the basket. Skips off the mulch, and he's going to skip to about a 15-footer.
Ben using his wasp to come across. So I suspect he'll take a straighter line. Ooh, very, very close to at least hitting metal, if not ringing it up.
This can be the side effect of the aggression, though. He's left with maybe a further putt than he would have liked. But it doesn't matter. He converts. Great putt by Ben after a great drive on hole 16.
Matt converts his birdie.
Kyle, it's safe to say everybody's pulling for you at home to get back on the birdie train.
And good hit for a birdie. And Jay to finish out our star frame.
Excellent performance by the lead card, showing you how they got there. Hole 16 played as the 11th hardest hole on the day, averaging half a stroke under par.
Hole 17 is a 469-foot par 4. It's a fairly soft 4, but it is very important to miss that tree we just passed on the right to get set up to come into this green. We do have a few people who will try and go the whole distance and get all the way to the hole for the eagle.
Gravy opting for the forehand, definitely the safer play. He's going to be about 120 out. Jay Keagy, known to attack this green, especially when he has a Corvette in his hand. Puts a beautiful hyzer flip out there. Penetrates a pretty long way. Turns the catch cam around, and he's looking at a circle 2 look for eagle. Great drive by Jay Keagy. Kyle Lewis, with the Halo Destroyer counter going up one more tick, is also looking to attack with his monster forehand. He gets the flip he's looking for.
This is a fantastic throw.
Boy, oh boy. He is in circle 1's edge, maybe just outside of circle 1 for eagle on hole 17. Great drive, Kyle. Lengel hoping to follow suit. Comes out a little low and it'll hit the upslope of the hill, but he'll land close to the flat and have a pretty easy approach, although the basket is blind from here. Doesn't matter, he trickles well inside of circle 1 for what should be a routine birdie for Lengel.
Here's Matt just with a quick approach to the basket.
Opting for that spore. And it just glides nicely into circle 1.
Settles in very nicely for a routine birdie.
Keagy for eagle from long circle 2.
Right off the front of the cage. Great bid for it, but unfortunately just not quite there.
The comeback king with the eagle on hole 17 after a tough day on the putting green, converting from deep circle 2 for eagle has got to feel good. Great job, Kyle.
Also of note, we have called out Kyle for an eagle. Oh, look at this putt. Very, very good with the radiant rollback. Very well deserved. So we have called out Kyle each round for an eagle. He has eagled once around in this tournament, which is very, very impressive. Congratulations, Kyle.
As Lengel taps in his birdie, some other notable eagles on the day were Lucas Wright and Eric Dobmeyer. Congratulations to you guys as well for the eagles on hole 17. Great job on the star frame by our lead card on hole 17, which did play as the third easiest hole on the day, averaging 0.58 strokes under par. As we head into the final hole, our last water carry, par 3, 220 feet. I would say the approach is pretty easy for the open field, but you do have these branches to contend to, so if you're ace hunting, you can find yourself coming up pretty short quickly on a must-get birdie. Sometimes you find yourself out of position and looking at a 3.
Kyle leading it off. Throws a nice shot right up next to the basket. Shouldn't be too hard to birdie that.
Graves assessing the wind. As we mentioned, the swirly summer winds starting to kick in later in the day.
He's still leaning on his A5.
Hoping for a little more turn out of that. He's going to find the tree branches on the left, but he fights through and he'll have a long circle one look from the left-hand side. Keagy disking up a little bit to the buzz and hoping to just slide this up into circle one, and he does.
Ben looking to forehand across.
The road less traveled for sure.
No less of an effective play, though. Keeps it low. He's going to try and skip it up, and skips it up right next to the basket. Great shot there by Ben. So Matt's got a real tough putt here. It's a little hard to tell, but those branches are probably only 4, maybe 5 feet off the ground. Misses just a little bit right, unfortunately.
Especially the two front runners are hoping for birdies as they head into the Safari 9. Gravy to save par from obstruction. Good comebacker from the straddle. Nice putt by Matt Graves. Keagy looking at a routine putt, but when you're getting to the end of the round before heading into Safari, these putts can prove a little bit more taxing on the mind than others, or if you were just playing a casual round out here. But he's good for it. Good putt by Jay Keagy.
And that brings him even with Matt Graves, so 9 more to play for these guys.
Going to be a fun Safari round for sure. Kyle to finish strong with the birdie after the eagle.
Finishes out 4 strokes down in the last 3 holes. It's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, Kyle's a fantastic player. Just wasn't his day. Lengel very proud of himself for the 8-footer. Just choking around. Lengel's a great spirit. We always love to see him come out to Richmond events. It's always good to play with you, Ben. Look at the great spirit from the card mates as we do our round 3 back 9 check-in. We have Jay Keagy and Matt Graves tied at 22 down. Joining them for the Safari 9 will be Eric Dobmeyer at 19 and Nick Doan at 16. And great play by everybody. Let's see how they tackle the Safari.
A huge thank you to all of our sponsors who've helped make this event possible, especially Corey and Mary of Radiant Home Services. They've been on site for every round, talking with players, showing their support for Richmond Disc Golf. Thank you to them and all of our other sponsors.
And last but not least, thank you to you for tuning in to Round 3 Back 9 coverage at Bryan Park of the Tour de Richmond presented by MVP Disc Sports and Good Sports Discs. We'll catch you on the Safari 9, folks.